Today I'm going to show you the Autodesk Vault Manufacturing third-party CAD add-in for SolidWorks. Up on the screen we have SolidWorks 2009 loaded, and on top of that we've loaded Autodesk Vault Manufacturing 2010. So Vault Manufacturing actually has a Vault tab up on the ribbon toolbar, and over on the left-hand side of the screen where SolidWorks has their feature manager, we actually have a Vault browser tab. What this allows us to do inside of Autodesk Vault Manufacturing is not only understand the files that are open on the screen, but we actually read the SolidWorks files references and their hierarchy. So we can see that SolidWorks assemblies are made up of these following SolidWorks parts. We have additional symbols on the screen to let the user know that these files are not actually managed by the Vault at this point in time, but are just resident on a local hard drive or a network drive. We'll switch from their assembly environment over to their drawing environment. This drawing, of course, is an assembly drawing of the assembly we had just seen. And over in the Vault browser, we can see that, again, Autodesk Vault Manufacturing understands the references between SolidWorks drawings, assemblies, and their respective parts. Now that we know that these are not in the Vault, let's go ahead and add them. With a simple click of the check-in button, we can add any comments or notes or history that we would like to capture during this check-in. Add these files into the Vault, and as these files are added into the Vault, we're actually doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes as far as bringing in the metadata, the file references, and creating visualization with the DWF functionality. You'll notice the symbols are now changing inside of the Vault browser to let the user know that these files are inside of the Vault now and available for checkout. You'll also notice at the top of the SolidWorks screen that it lets us know that this particular SolidWorks drawing is now read-only. Because the user has not checked out the file, Vault is now controlling the read-write access in the local workspace. If we take a look at the standalone Vault interface, we can see the files that were loaded from SolidWorks directly into Vault Manufacturing. From here, we can view any properties that were read in from the SolidWorks files, the associated history and notes, the uses or the bill of material and reference structure of the files, where used, any consumption of the file, and of course a nice visual preview of the file. The file's now inside of Vault. Let's go back into SolidWorks and begin working with the Vault tool inside of this environment. One of the things we want to take a look at is, as these files are read-only, we need to begin to work on them. In order to do that, we'll just take an individual file or part from the assembly environment and check it out from Vault Manufacturing. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you before we begin working on this file is SolidWorks files have what we call configurations. In Autodesk world, like an Inventor, these would be similar to iParts. This difference is the limitation of the SolidWorks file structure forces the user to make all these configurations or iterations in a single part file, which is a nightmare for most data management systems, including Dassault Systems SolidWorks' own products. So here we'll take this gear part file and we'll check it out and make some subtle changes. In this case, maybe we'll just make a change to vendor information. So again, once we check it out, visually it lets the user know who has the file checked out, and we color code it to let them know that they have read-write access. We'll go into the SolidWorks file properties and let's just add some vendor information. So we know that who we purchased this particular gear component from. So here we're going to buy it from Wile E. Coyote's Acme Supply. You'll notice that Vault Manufacturing tags the file with that asterisk or a Windows dirty flag. This lets the user know that it does need to be saved locally before we check it into the Vault. So we'll simply do a Control-S and check in the file. It removes the asterisk, the Windows dirty flag, but you'll now notice that visually there's a green mark to let us know that we need to sync up with the Vault. So again, we'll check the file in, document any changes that were made to the file so we can always look them up and reference them in the Vault or metadata history. It marks the file back as read-only and puts it back in the Vault. While we're at it, let's go ahead and take a look at Vault Manufacturing and see what changes have been in the Vault. So one thing you'll notice right away is that we can look at any prior versions of this file. So here we have version 1, and you'll see the associated properties on the right. If we go to version 2, you'll see now that Acme Supply property of vendor has been added. We also can display this in our custom columns or view tabs. This is now a searchable property or attribute, And we have the ability to read and write from Vault Manufacturing back to SolidWorks as well. You'll also notice these are tagged with a green color code, and this is marked as SolidWorks files. Vault Manufacturing has the ability to assign categories to specific file types. So whether they're Autodesk native files of DWG or Inventor IPT or IAM files, sheets, or in this case, SolidWorks files. So I have a simple rule set up, so anything that comes in with a .sld prior extension is assigned as a SolidWorks file. Back inside of SolidWorks, we'll go ahead and create a drawing for this gear now. And again, remembering that this gear has multiple lengths. So I'm not sure what I'm getting because there's no preview, but we'll go ahead and place a couple of views, and we'll create a simple tabulated drawing to represent the various lengths of this gear. So as one would expect, we can just throw in a reference dimension, override the value, and then I will simply throw in a quick dirty table to represent the various sizes of this particular gear. And again, remember this file configurations in SolidWorks. All of these various lengths are kept in a single file format. So from a data management or a bill of materials standpoint, in data management, that becomes a real problem because everything references back to a single file. So there's a lot of challenges with that from bill of material management, from a data management standpoint, or even consumption down to ERP and MRP systems for purchasing and procurement. So it's very important that we look at how Vault Manufacturing can address this anomaly with SolidWorks files. Again, looking at the Vault browser inside of SolidWorks, we can see that this file has not yet been saved. So we'll perform a standard save operation, take the default name, and again, we can see that Vault Manufacturing understands the SolidWorks file references and hierarchy. We can see that the gear is being referenced in this drawing, and the drawing is not yet controlled by Vault Manufacturing. So we'll simply check it into Autodesk Vault. The symbol now lets us know that this is controlled by Autodesk Vault Manufacturing, and the file again is switched to read-only in the local workspace. Now let's really talk about that bill of materials management. So I can take this overall assembly and assign it as an item. The first thing you'll notice is it shows us that there is parts and assemblies tied to this particular file. So from a bill of materials management standpoint, we have a top piece, a bottom piece, and we have 3 gears. But we recognize that it's a SolidWorks configuration, and we recognize that the configuration or part number is the SW1234. Now, it does realize that the SW5678 up at the top is part of that file, but you'll notice the quantity is a dash because it is not used in this assembly. Another great thing about Vault Manufacturing is we have the ability to assign various item numbering schemes based on different file formats or types or property mapping. In this case, I have a specific item numbering scheme used specifically for SolidWorks files. That being said, it lets us know, again, any duplicates that it could find, and there are none. And we'll go ahead and create these items. We now have an EBOM that we can manage inside of Vault Manufacturing. Not only is it important that we can manage it inside of Vault Manufacturing, but we have an accurate bill that we can pass downstream to purchasing and procurement, manufacturing. So here this bill of materials again shows us the quantity 3 of the specific SW1234, not just the generic gear part. So again, configurations are recognized and are managed from a bill of materials standpoint inside of Autodesk Vault Manufacturing. Another thing that's nice here is you'll see that as we add these items, and we can control them from a release standpoint. Here you'll see that this file is work in progress. Not only does it say work in progress in the metadata, we can automatically have a watermark displayed across our drawing. So if anybody does print this drawing, they're not manufacturing to a non-effective drawing. Let's go ahead and change the lifecycle state of this file to released. And again, based on our simple rules and configuration of Vault Manufacturing, we can now have a watermark in the title block or in the bounding area of the drawing, giving us the released and effective notation of the drawing. What about non-CAD users? Even if they're not using SolidWorks or Inventor or AutoCAD, how do they access this data for things like bill of material management in an ERP or MRP system, for purchasing and procurement? Well, for that, we provide, as part of Vault Manufacturing, a free web client. So using your intranet or internet, you can look up these files and access them for view and print access.